All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a geopolitical crisis that's probably not on your radar. It's not about oil, it's not about territory, it's about trash. Yeah, you heard that right. We're going to break down how industrial waste has turned into a weapon in this high-stakes economic fight between Ontario and Michigan.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Our story kicks off on a battlefield that most of us don't even know exists, the Ontario-Michigan Waste Corridor. And look, this isn't just about some garbage trucks crossing the border. This is about a critical, and I mean critical, vulnerability in Ontario's industrial supply chain. And it's being exploited as we speak.
You see, this battle isn't fought with tanks and soldiers, but with 18-wheelers and landfills. For years, Ontario has looked at Michigan as this, cheap and easy solution for its waste problem. But that convenience, it's completely backed them into a corner, creating a really dangerous dependency. Just let this number sink in for a second. 3.46 million tons. That's how much Canadian waste, most of it from Ontario's industrial and commercial sectors, gets hauled across the border and buried in Michigan landfills every single year. And this is not a small problem, not by a long shot. I mean, think about it. When you're exporting more than a quarter of your municipal waste, you are completely at the mercy of your neighbor's politics. And right now, that neighbor is building a wall. But it's not made of bricks and mortar, it's made of tariffs and fees. So what does this economic wall actually look like? Well, the United States is deploying a pretty sophisticated, multi-layered arsenal of economic weapons. And they're all designed with one goal in mind, to stop the flow of Canadian waste for good. This table really lays out the multi-front attack perfectly. This isn't just one policy change. It's a coordinated assault. You've got state-level fee hikes, you've got federal trade penalties under agreements like the USMCA. Every single move is designed to make it financially impossible for Ontario to keep exporting its waste. All right, first up, let's look at the state level. Michigan's Governor Whitmer wants to jack up the tipping fee from a measly 36 cents a ton to $5. That's a nearly 1,300% increase. A move like that would instantly wipe out the cost advantage that this whole waste corridor was built on. Okay, next we move to the federal level. Here, U.S. Customs is using the USMCA trade agreement, that's the new NAFTA, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, to spring what they call a transshipment trap. They're slapping Canadian waste with a crippling 40% penalty. And their argument? That the waste contains foreign materials, which is a big no-no under the trade rules. This puts the entire trade under review and, could lead to a full-on border closure. So with its main escape hatch closing fast, Ontario's problem is starting to turn inward. The province is now staring down a serious deadline, and believe it or not, its own domestic policies are actually making things even worse. And this timeline, it just brilliantly illustrates what's being called the regulatory cliff. So while the U.S. is building this wall from the outside, Ontario's own laws are building another one from the inside. You've got this series of escalating bans and taxes, like the CIRCIL levy and the rewood ban on landfilling clean wood. All of this is set to dramatically jack up the cost and complexity of waste disposal inside the province, basically pouring gasoline on the fire. And this is the end game. By 2034, Ontario is on track to completely run out of its own landfill space. It's just full. Now, if the Michigan border closes, that timeline gets squeezed even tighter. The province will hit a literal physical wall with absolutely nowhere left to put its trash. Game over. So, okay, you're Ontario. You're caught between a rock and a hard place. Pressure from the U.S. on one side, your own laws on the other. How do you respond? Well, the answer isn't about finding some new place to dump trash. It's a total shift in strategy. It's asking, what if you could just stop making trash in the first place? At the heart of it all is this challenge of bridging what's called the quality gap. On one side, you have this messy, low-value, contaminated construction debris, the problem. On the other side, you have this booming bioeconomy that's crying out for a precise, pure, high-value feedstock. The strategic goal here is to figure out how to transform that chaotic liability on the left into the predictable, valuable industrial resource on the right. And one proposed solution is a model called the Digital Refinery, which is being pioneered by a company called 905 Wood. It's basically a 5-layer system designed not just to, manage waste, but to actually remanufacture it into a valuable asset. The whole point is to create a domestic, self-sufficient supply chain that's totally insulated from all this geopolitical risk.
So, how does it actually work? How does this thing function in the real world? Let's break down how this technology can act as a hedge against this whole geopolitical storm by turning something like compliance and quality control into a genuine strategic advantage. It really boils down to a three-step process that uses tech to flip a costly liability into a documented, high-value, and, this is key, auditable asset. And it all starts right at the point of collection. So imagine this. You use AI on a smartphone to act as a kind of digital gatekeeper. The system can scan an entire truckload of wood waste in less than 2 seconds. It spots and rejects contaminants, like pressure-treated lumber, before they can even get into the supply chain. This is huge because it ensures you have a high-quality feedstock right from the get-go. Okay, next, at a processing hub, that material gets scientifically validated. You have X-ray and near-infrared sensors scanning for chemicals, moisture, you name it. And they create this permanent, unchangeable digital record. This gives you the kind of audit-proof data that regulators who are enforcing strict waste management laws, like Ontario Regulation 347, absolutely demand. It basically creates a truth layer for the material, which is a game changer. And finally, the system actually monetizes this good behavior. The digital invoice gets a complete makeover. Instead of just showing a disposal fee, it shows the generator exactly how much they saved by avoiding those big landfill taxes. It even calculates the carbon credits they've earned. It's simple. It financially rewards clean loads and penalizes poor sorting. So the big takeaway here is that a model like this, the digital refinery, completely flips the script. It takes every single one of those threats we talked about, the border tariffs, the landfill taxes, the strict regulations, and turns them into a business opportunity. You end up creating a self-sufficient system that's pretty much immune to all these external shocks.
And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. In an era of resource scarcity and escalating trade wars, is being self-sufficient the ultimate competitive advantage? As global supply chains become more and more fragile and are increasingly used as battlefields, maybe the only winning move is to stop playing their game and build a new one right here at home, one where you control all the pieces.